Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Sector 5. I'm your host, as always, Cody the Hangman Heinzman, and it is the night before WrestleMania. It's a weird night before WrestleMania, but it's still the night before WrestleMania. And I am here to give my WrestleMania predictions. As always, same format. It's going to be the non-title matches first, then we'll go into title matches for this two-night, audience-less WrestleMania. And in all honesty, it feels really weird to think that WrestleMania is here with everything that's going on currently. But I still hope it's going to be a good show. It might not be the shows like we're used to, but it's still WrestleMania. So I hope there's still a little bit of excitement. But with all that being said, let's get started with the matches. First match I have typed down here, I have Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. They've been having this interesting rivalry. I see Dolph Ziggler. We're going to say Dolph Ziggler taking the win on this one. I just feel like it's a better result than the big man winning it. Not much more I could say about it. Most of these non-title matches are... I don't want to say they're not exciting matches, especially when we talk about one, but some of these seem like filler matches. Let's say that. Still excited, nonetheless. So we'll go with Dolph Ziggler. Mainly because I think I want to go against everyone else. So I feel like anyone else would probably give it to Otis. So let's give it to Ziggler. Next up I have Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. And let's go ahead and say Aleister Black. I feel like it's a good opportunity for Aleister Black to finally get out of this slump he seems to be in. Because it seems like lately he's just been facing off against no names, and he was getting a nice push there for a while, and then he screeched to a halt. I definitely think he and Ricochet should have been tag team champions at one point, even if they were maybe transitional champions, but Aleister Black should win this match. Next up, I have Elias versus King Corbin. And I'm going to go ahead and give it to King Corbin here. If this match even happens. I've been following the reports of everything that's been going on. Of course, I guess I could say that with a lot of these matches, if they happen. Where this match might not happen because of events from last week's Smackdown, where King Corbin tossed Elias from, like, one of the balconies at the performance centers. And so Elias might be out. But if the match happens, I'm going to give it to King Corbin. This match, in my mind, is a little bit weird because I haven't been following... I've been saying it for a while. I haven't been following WWE like I used to, where I would watch every Raw and every SmackDown. I kind of just see clips here and there, so I have no knowledge of where the storyline is going. So it's a little weird with this one because the last I knew Elias was heel, but now I guess he's a face, and it's a little offsetting with me for that. So I think King Corbin's going to take this match, and Elias might go back to being the heel. I just feel like he's a better heel than a face. Then again, I can't say much about it without what I've seen. Next up, we have Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. And I'm going to give it to Kevin Owens and say that I'm not a big fan of the current gimmick of Seth Rollins. I'm sure he does it well. Given it's Seth Rollins, I'm not saying he's one of the best of all times, but give him a part and he will fill it. I mean, he's a good face, he's a good heel. But I'm just not a big fan of the current gimmick and that Seth Rollins is going behind. That's not fully the reason I'm giving it to Kevin Owens, because I don't like Seth Rollins' current gimmick. Seth Rollins is a excellent wrestler. I'll give him that. I just feel like it's Kevin Owens' time to get something. I seen something recently where like Seth Rollins, like, this is my playing field. WrestleMania is my battlefield. Like, when I go to WrestleMania, I perform. And with his track record, yes, the Shield, was undefeated at Mania. He cashed in and won the title. This is why I'm thinking it's time for Kevin Owens to get something out of WrestleMania. Next up is the match that I think a lot of us are looking forward to. At least I'm looking forward to it, and my buddy that has been on these predictions before, Jeremy, I know has been looking forward to. We have the Rated R Superstar Edge. Yes, you heard that right. You don't have to rewind the tape. I'll say it again for you. The Rated R Superstar Edge versus the Viper Randy Orton in a last man standing match. And this match, currently to me, seems like I'm sorry, a toss-up. It's very much seems like a toss-up to me. Because I'm trying to figure out, do they give it to Edge to let him have that WrestleMania win that he hasn't had forever? Or do they give it to Orton? As much as I like the Rated R Superstar Edge, I kind of would rather Orton win this. Because the last match that Edge had at WrestleMania was when he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Alberto Del Rio, and then promptly had to retire. And now he's back. So would a win be nice for Edge? Yes. But I'm going to give it to Orton. Mainly because, like I said, I feel like that last match that Edge had at Mania, winning the world title, was a good end to Edge's career. It was sad that he had to go. It's great that he's back. Don't get me wrong. If you watch Sector 5 religiously, which most people really do, but let's just go with it and say that people actually watch the show. I use the spear because of Edge. I grew my hair out because of Edge. Edge, I don't want to say it's my favorite superstar, but I really like the spear. I like his execution of the spear. So, with that being said, it sounds like Edge is my favorite superstar. He's just one of my favorites. And it's probably going to look a little weird, but I'm going to take a sip of this Hawaiian punch here. I need a drink. So I'm going to give it to Orton. I feel like that would be a nice win for Orton as well to continue his career. I don't want to say Edge is washed up, but I'm still more on the case of I like his last match that he had at Mania being his last big win at WrestleMania. But it has definitely been a nice storyline. We'll go with that. Thinking about the storyline a little bit, will Beth Phoenix get involved? Maybe. I kind of hope that she doesn't. I'm sure that that's where they are trying to go with it. But I'd rather it just be Edge, Orton going after it. Going at it. No outside interference. It is last man standing as well, which I feel favors Orton a little bit more than Edge. But we'll get off the tangent now. Next up, we have John Cena versus The Fiend in the Funhouse. And with that one, I kind of want to say that Cena's going to take it just because he's John Cena. You know what? I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with that prediction that John Cena's going to win it. Not fully solely because he's John Cena. But I don't feel like The Fiend has that full momentum that he has. Yes, he has been a former WWE champion, but given the fact that they had The Fiend drop the title to Goldberg, I feel like that has kind of slowed down that role that he was going. If this was Cena versus Fiend for the championship, I would probably give it to The Fiend, retaining. But given that this is just a regular one-on-one match with the Funhouse implications, which makes it that The Fiend should win it, I'm going to give it to John Cena. Lastly, of the non-title matches, we have The Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a boneyard/graveyard match. And I've been mulling around with this one a little bit as well. And I feel like Undertaker is going to take this one. Don't get me wrong, AJ Styles, great competitor. But I feel like with this stipulation, it favors The Undertaker a little bit more than AJ Styles. I feel like AJ Styles is a great in-ring competitor, but when it comes to special stipulations like this, it's gonna favor The Undertaker. Undertaker's been in many different stipulation type matches. The casket match, Buried Alive, I'm pretty sure that's kind of what this graveyard match is. I'm sure it's not actually going to be a Buried Alive match, but I think it favors The Undertaker a little bit more than it favors AJ Styles. If this was a one-on-one competition in the ring, I might have gave it to AJ Styles. But with this boneyard graveyard stipulation, I have to give it to The Undertaker. Now, just give me a second to switch over. That's been the non-title matches, so we're going to go into the title matches. And I'm going to say here, it's a little bit weird that we are talking WrestleMania and we don't have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I'm also going to do a small thing here that's going to point me out a little bit. I've been recording this video. I did not plug this in, so I'm just going to take this off. Alright. Anyways, back to what I was saying. It's WrestleMania. We should have, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and the Women's Battle Royal. Of course, with current circumstances, it's not going to happen. So it's a little bit jarring that there's not going to be a Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and Women's Battle Royal. But show goes on. We'll talk about that just a little bit after I'm done talking about the rest of the predictions. So, on to our title matches. I decided to start with the women's tag team match. We have the Kabuki Warriors versus Bliss and Nikki Cross for the women's championship, as I said before. And I don't see why the Kabuki Warriors would drop the title. I just see no reason. The women's tag team has very much been underutilized, kind of like we basically thought it was going to be. I don't want to badmouth too much, but the women's tag team title has not been defended as much. Like, it needs more defenses. It needs to show up for more pay-per-views that it has. So that's why I kind of started with it. I feel like it's kind of a throwaway. A little bit. So, Kabuki Warriors versus Bliss and Nikki Cross. I'm going to give it to the Kabuki Warriors. I don't see why Bliss and Cross need to win the title again. Unless, they make them transitional. I need to slow down my speech. I understand that. But aside from being transitional, if they have a reason for Kabuki Warriors to lose it to Cross and Bliss, then yeah, them. But I'm just going to say the Kabuki Warriors retain the tag team titles. On to the Raw Tag Team Championship, which I think is going to be the one title match that I'm not 100% sure about. It's the Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza. And the reason I'm so iffy on this, like I said, I don't follow WWE like I used to. So I don't know where storylines are going. And I don't have a good idea of some of the talent. And this would be the biggest example of it. Street Profits, I basically know them because of the video games. I don't follow NXT. I like watching the NXT superstars come to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown as a kind of surprise. I like being surprised whenever new talent goes to those shows. And it's like, this is a fresh face. What are they going to do? So that's kind of the reason I don't follow NXT and see progress leading up to that. So this is the biggest one where I'm probably just going to throw... This would be a throwaway for me. I'm just going to say Street Profits for retain. I have no thought process behind it. But I feel like this falls into the same thing that the women's tag team title does. Only reason I see Austin Theory and Angel Garza winning the title as if they are transitional. So I'm going to give it to Street Profits, retaining. Next up, we have Miz and John Morrison versus the Usos versus the New Day in a ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. And I'm going to give it to the Usos. Mainly because anytime the Usos go up for the titles, it seems like they always win them. That's basically my thought process towards it. Having the Miz and John Morrison being tag team champions has been interesting, to say the least. But I feel like the Usos, they seem to always get the title whenever they have the opportunity to win it. Next up, we have Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship. And I'm going to say Sami Zayn retains. I don't feel like he has held it long enough to justify dropping it just yet. His new gimmick has been pretty weird and interesting as well. And it's not I don't want to say it's not a big match, but it's not something like Daniel Bryan's B+ trying to become the A+ superstar type of match. I'm liking seeing Daniel Bryan kind of go back into this mid-card area, giving someone else an opportunity to do something. So I feel like Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan is a good opportunity for Sami Zayn to prove himself. I kind of miss Sami Zayn being a face superstar. I'm not going to lie about that. His new gimmick has not been well with me. Like, ever since he went heel with Kevin Owens, I have not fully enjoyed it. I'm very much a face person. I will root for the face. I'm not someone that goes towards heels. And whenever someone I like that's face goes heel, it kind of saddens me. It's lame, I know, but unless they do it well enough. But I'm always someone that's like, okay, you were face once, please go back to face. I liked you when you was face. Which is kind of a little bit lame for me to put it that way. Either way, I think Sami Zayn will retain. Next up is an interesting one. For the first time in WrestleMania history, we're going to have the NXT Women's Championship up for grabs. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble and chose to face Rhea Ripley for her NXT Women's Championship. And this is, I think, one of the only matches that I'm looking on the card that I feel like is going to change the outcome of the winner because of current circumstances. If this was, I don't want to say if this was the grandest stage of them all. It's still WrestleMania, so it's still going to be the grandest stage of them all. It's just not in front of a whole bunch of people. If it was still the WrestleMania as it was going to be planned, I feel like Charlotte Flair would win. But given the current circumstances of everything, I'm going to say Rhea Ripley retains. And maybe we revisit this match when everything's said and done with everything. Maybe if SummerSlam actually gets to happen, maybe revisit it then. Maybe even not SummerSlam. If they do another NXT takeover, have it happen there. So I'm going to stick with it. Rhea Ripley retains. Next up, I have Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. And I have to give it to Shayna Baszler. Because Becky Lynch has been holding that Raw Women's Championship since last WrestleMania. She was Becky 2 belts. Then she dropped the Smackdown Women's Championship, but has held the Raw Championship since last WrestleMania. So I feel like it's Shayna Baszler's time to be Raw Women's Champion. Next up, I have Bayley versus Sasha Banks versus Lacey Evans versus Tamina versus Naomi for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say Tamina. I'm probably going to be wrong about this. I'm going to say Tamina. When it gets to one of these matches where there's 5 superstars, it's a little rough to figure out who might win it. When it's 5, it's very much a wild card, I feel. Basically because of the fact that the champion doesn't need to be pinned. You can say that with the Fatal 4-Ways as well, but I feel like it's even more when there's a 5th person. Maybe it's just that odd number thing, which makes sense a little bit with why it'd be more of a wild card than the Fatal 4-Way. Because at least Fatal 4-Way, at least you can have these 2 people facing these 2 people. Fatal 5-Way, you got these 2 people, and you got that wild card. If I had to put a wild card in this match, it's Tamina. And it might be the wild card's time to win the title. But if I have to say who I don't think is going to walk out and win, we'll go that route. Bayley. I mainly think Bayley's not going to win it because she's held that SmackDown Women's Championship for a good while. I also, kind of going back to my previous statement of not liking people that were faces going heel, kind of think Bayley might come back to the face way. I don't want to say I didn't like her transformation into heel. It was surprising. We'll go with that. One of the things that I was sitting and thinking about as I was typing this out is you got these superstars that you never think is going to go heel. And when they do, it's like a shock and surprise. But how long can they stay on this heel side? And I feel like Bayley's one of those superstars. She was a fan favorite. She was the hugger. She connected with the crowd. And then she went heel. And no one... I don't want to say no one didn't see it coming, because I'm sure something spoiled it online or something. But it definitely came to a shock to me. And I don't know how long they can keep that storyline going. Especially with Sasha Banks being in this match. I definitely think that they're trying to, once again, split those two. And if anyone's going to be on the heel side of all this, it's going to be Sasha Banks. So it's going to be the heel turning on the heel, and one of them going back babyface, most likely. So that's why I'm going to give it to Tamina. Next up, we're going to talk about Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre. And you know how much I love talking about Brock Lesnar matches. I see no reason why Drew McIntyre won't win the title. It seems like Brock Lesnar is basically a transitional champion. Because think about it. He only defends the title 1 or 2 pay-per-views. And sometimes one of those 2 pay-per-views is him facing for the title and winning it. So, very much want to put Brock Lesnar as just a transitional champion. I am still a little upset, I'm not going to lie, about how he won that title. Coming out F5 and Kofi, 1, 2, 3, that's it. That was not how Kofi Kingston's reign should have ended. I don't want to harp on that too much, but I know there's a good bit of people that probably will agree with me. Kofi's reign should not have ended like that. There should have been a hard-fought match to where he scratched, clawed, did everything he could, and lost the title. Not losing the title in a squash. So with that being said, I see Drew McIntyre walking out of WrestleMania WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Lastly, we have the Universal Championship match. We have Goldberg versus now Braun Strowman. Unfortunately, Roman Reigns has to sit out. Braun Strowman's taking the place. And most likely Braun Strowman's going to win the title. And I'm very happy about that. Because as much as I like both Goldberg and Roman Reigns, this is a better match, in my opinion. Braun Strowman deserves to be Universal Champion. He is yet to have that opportunity. Now he has that opportunity. And it always seems like when Reigns gets a chance at an opportunity, he always has to drop it or something happens. So maybe this is a sign that you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Happy Easter, everybody, as that's coming around the corner as well. So Braun Strowman, Goldberg, Braun Strowman comes out with the Universal Championship. And that has been my WrestleMania predictions. It's going to be a weird one. But one of my final thoughts with this is they're keeping this with Strive. And it's very controversial on what people think on whether or not they should have, continued the show or not. And I'm on the side of I'm kind of glad that they are still going with it. With everything that's going on currently, it is nice to have something that's going to be a distraction with all of this. And I'm not saying this as someone that's like, oh, the health of the superstars is less than WrestleMania. I wish all the superstars that's on this show and in the entire WWE locker room the best of health. I wish them luck. I hope they do not catch what's going on right now. And I can say this as somebody that works retail. I'm on the battlefield as well with everything that's going on. I don't want to say the luxury, but will use that word. I don't have the ability. Ability is probably a better word here. To just come home, stay home, and quarantine during all this. I'm out there, lucky to still have a job right now. So, I can say that I'm glad that WrestleMania is still going on. And wish all the WWE superstars good luck. And I'm glad with what WWE is doing to try and prevent everything. Going to the vacant arenas. I know that they very much was trying to probably continue with the shows the way it was booked, but with everything going on, their hands were tied, so they just got to go with what they have. So I hope everyone enjoys WrestleMania. I hope everyone stays safe. And as always, I'm Cody the Hangman Heinzman, and that's just how it is.